It's already March, which means spring is right around the corner. I don't know about you, but I'm already ready for warmer weather to come on around. For my theme this month, I decided to go with lots of greenery and some simple geometric shapes, which was really just some empty space squares with outlines around the corners. I really liked how this kept a theme similar to the one that I used last year for March. Very simple and clean while getting a lot of color on the page. That's something that I always look for, is getting lots of color while keeping the amount of work and drawing and doodles down to a minimal. I find that if there's too many doodles that it takes so much longer to do the outline, and it makes it just tougher to get done when you're so busy with everything else going on. The greenery that I went with was kind of a eucalyptus and myrtle vibe, although I didn't really choose any specific plant. It was just easy to draw leaves that I enjoy doodling when I draw greenery. To outline everything, I used a fineliner with a 0.1 thickness and then filled it in with the two Crayola Supertips. Used a dark green and a lighter cool tone green to really pull the eucalyptus color, and also let the myrtle pieces stand out. The calendar page followed suit, with greenery poking through the daily squares. I wouldn't normally use a ruler with all the setup, but I thought with such a simple theme that it needed to be pretty perfect, or it would just look kind of wonky and really go against the effect I was looking for. Of course, this would be a lot easier if I just had a dotted journal instead of these blank pages. So if I had a dotted journal, I probably wouldn't have used the ruler. Having blank pages is definitely a challenge, and I do like the challenge, but I don't think that I will ever use a non-dotted journal ever again. There's way too much measuring that has to happen before I can even start a spread, and I used to like being able to just start a spread and start planning it out without having to be super precise of where my lines were. It is easier to really customize the look of a spread because you don't have to worry about the spacing and the allotted spaces per each grid of the calendar or the weekly spread. You can just make it up as you go and make it fit the way that you want to. That being said, it is oh so much easier to just count out a 5x5 block spread instead of having to measure it and making sure that it is actually a square and not a rhombus, which is super annoying when you've measured everything out and then it's just a crooked line or a slanted line ruining your box. As you can see, the greenery really does help the boxes to pop, but I could have probably added a little bit more greenery so that all of the boxes really popped, since they are that negative white space. Throughout the month when I get bored, I probably will go in and add some greenery behind the boxes just to make those days pop out of the month. Also for the outlines, a thicker, like a 1.0 point pen would have probably looked really nice, as well as the outlines for the corner of the boxes, since it is a very small area that the fineliner is being used. Next up is the predictable gratitude tracker page. I left this kind of empty with two big boxes, one on the left, one on the right pages, and the greenery around it, so that it would be more of a journaling space. I've been trying to play around a little bit this year with the gratitude trackers, as January's gratitude tracker was a little excessive, February's was a little repetitive, and I found myself not actually using it every single day, so I decided to go with a larger format that would maybe inspire me to write a little bit more, even if it's not every single day. During this last month, I also found myself wanting a little bit more planning space, not necessarily for daily tasks, but just thoughts and ideas that I wanted to jot down or draw a little sketch of, and I didn't really have the space to do it, and it didn't really fit in the bottom of my weekly spreads, so I decided to give myself a little bit more space to do that this month and just doodle or write down things that come into mind and have a special place for that that's easier to refer to than finding a specific week that I don't really remember when I wrote it down. Next up is the weekly spread in a very similar format that we've seen throughout the month. Instead of the two big boxes that we saw in the last page, It's now divided into 6 boxes, one of them being divided in half for the weekend, since I find that I don't need as much planning space as the rest of the days during the weekend. I usually don't even look at my bullet journal much at all on the weekends, to be honest. So I made sure that there was plenty of blank space to put in habit tracker stickers at the bottom, and also do these nice big leaves to put some nice big green spots on the page, like the last spread, but in a little bit of a different way. For a little bit of a different thing this month, I decided to make some habit tracker stickers, which I just made on Adobe Illustrator and printed on regular sticker paper. And because I had extra room on the sticker paper and it didn't really fit any more of the trackers, I went ahead and decided to do titles for the days as well, which I really liked the way that this looked with the nice type with the natural-esque looking vines and leaves. So it was a really great way to just use some creativity and work on my Adobe Illustrator skills. And I like how sheer that the habit trackers turned out, so they're really not taking center stage like they sometimes do when you make huge grid boxes in your normal spread. And now for the final flip through.